The crystalline spires of research station Helios pierced the amber clouds of Kepler 186f like needles through silk. Dr. Raven Blackwood adjusted her atmospheric suit's parameters one final time, dark eyes fixed on the readings that scrolled across her helmet's display. After 15 years of studying xenobiology across the galaxy, she thought she'd seen it all. She was wrong. Final atmospheric check complete, Dr. Blackwood, the AI's voice chimed in her ear. Local conditions within acceptable parameters for limited exposure. Remember, the indigenous atmosphere contains trace elements not yet fully analyzed. Raven acknowledged with a grunt, her attention focused on the massive winged shapes that circled the research station's landing pad. The Nepheri had been discovered just 6 months ago, and already they had upended everything humanity thought they knew about convergent evolution. Bipedal avians shouldn't exist, the energy requirements alone made it theoretically impossible. Yet here they were, defying physics with every graceful sweep of their iridescent wings. "Doctor, the Nepheri delegation approaches," the AI announced, unnecessary given the shadow that now eclipsed the landing pad. Raven looked up, her breath catching as 3 figures descended from the amber sky. Their wings, spanning at least 6 meters tip to tip, shimmered with colors that shouldn't exist in nature, deep purples that shifted to electric blue, then to gold at the edges. The central figure landed with impossible grace, wings folding with liquid smoothness against a tall, athletic frame. Unlike the recordings Raven had studied, seeing a Nepheri up close revealed subtle details the cameras had missed. Their skin wasn't simply blue, it contained patterns, almost like living circuitry, that pulsed with gentle bioluminescence. "I am Talon Starweaver," the central figure announced in perfect standard English, their voice carrying harmonics that made Raven's suit sensors flutter. "Lead researcher of the High Winds Collective." Their eyes, completely silver except for rings of gold, fixed on Raven with unnerving intensity. "Dr. Raven Blackwood," she replied, forcing her voice to remain steady. "Xenobiology Division, Earth Science Institute." She gestured to her equipment. "Thank you for allowing this research opportunity. Your species' biological adaptations are extraordinary." Talon's head tilted, an avian gesture that somehow conveyed both amusement and interest. "We find your species equally fascinating, Dr. Blackwood. Such resourcefulness, to achieve spaceflight without natural flight capability." They stepped closer, and Raven's sensors went wild, detecting energy patterns unlike anything in the database. "Your personal aura is particularly intriguing. It resonates with frequencies we typically only observe in our sacred places." Raven's scientific objectivity warred with a more primitive response to Talon's proximity. The Nepheri stood nearly 2 meters tall, their presence commanding in a way that transcended mere physical impression. "Your energy detection capabilities, are they biological or technological?" A sound like wind chimes filled the air, Nepheri laughter. "Such curiosity," Talon said, reaching out to touch Raven's helmet with one elongated finger. "We do not distinguish between biology and technology as your people do. All is one in the dance of creation." Their wings shifted, catching the light in hypnotic patterns. "Perhaps we could continue this discussion somewhere more private? Our atmospheric gardens have been adjusted to human tolerance. Protocol dictated all initial contacts occur in controlled environments with multiple observers." But as Talon's silver-gold eyes held her gaze, Raven found herself nodding. "That would be scientifically valuable," she managed. The gardens proved to be a massive crystal dome filled with floating islands of vegetation. Raven removed her helmet after confirming the atmosphere was safe, and immediately gasped. The air tasted like starlight would if starlight had a flavor, sharp, sweet, and somehow ancient. "You feel it," Talon observed, their wings creating gentle currents that carried exotic scents. "The resonance between your energy and ours." They moved with liquid grace, circling Raven in a way that should have felt predatory but instead felt like a dance. "Tell me, Dr. Blackwood, do your studies include the phenomenon humans call attraction? Raven's heart thundered against her ribs. That's not typically within my research parameters, she said, watching as patterns of light rippled across Talon's skin in response to her words. Perhaps, Talon suggested, their wing brushing against her suit with deliberate slowness, it's time to expand those parameters. Their hand rose to touch Raven's face, and where their skin met, sparks of actual light danced between them. Some mysteries can only be understood through direct experience. As Talon's wings enfolded her in a curtain of living light, Raven's last coherent thought was that she was either making the greatest scientific breakthrough in human history, or the greatest mistake. Possibly both. Then Talon's lips met hers, tasting of ozone and stardust, and even that thought dissolved into the amber light of an alien sky. Dawn broke over Kepler 186f in ribbons of amber and violet, casting long shadows through the crystalline gardens. Raven sat at her research station, staring at readings that defied everything she thought she knew about xenobiology. 2 weeks had passed since her first private meeting with Talon, and the data only grew more perplexing with each encounter. These energy signatures, she muttered, manipulating the holographic display. They're changing. Evolving. The graphs showed her own bio-readings alongside strange patterns that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. Ever since that first kiss, her body had been different. She could feel things she shouldn't be able to feel, sense currents in the air that weren't there before. The door chimed, and Raven's pulse quickened before Talon even entered. Their wings today shimmered with deeper purples than usual, almost black at the edges. Something was different. The council has convened, Talon announced without preamble, their silver-gold eyes intense. They've detected the changes in you. Changes that should be impossible. Raven gestured to her readings. I've been tracking them. My cellular structure is showing signs of quantum entanglement with something. The energy patterns match your species' bioluminescence, but that's impossible? Talon's wing brushed her shoulder, sending sparks of sensation through her entire body. You humans are so fond of that word. Yet here you stand, resonating with frequencies that only our most ancient bloodlines should be capable of producing. Raven turned to face them fully. What's really happening to me, Talon? And don't tell me more poetic metaphors about energy dances and resonance. I need the truth. Talon's wings rustled, creating patterns of light that seemed to hang in the air. The truth? Very well. You are becoming something new, Raven Blackwood. Something that has never existed in the history of either of our species. They stepped closer, their wing extending to curl around her. When we first touched, your genetic structure recognized something in ours, something buried deep in human DNA. Ancient markers we placed there millennia ago. The implications hit Raven like a physical blow. You've been to Earth before. Before we were, us. We are the gardeners, Talon said softly. We seed potential across the galaxy, watching, waiting for species to evolve the capacity to reach for the stars. But in all our millennia of observation, none have ever shown the ability to actually merge with our essence. Until you. Raven's hands trembled as she pulled up her latest scans. The quantum entanglement, it's not just energy patterns, is it? My DNA is actually rewriting itself. Yes. Talon's voice carried harmonics of both joy and concern. You are becoming a bridge between our species. The first of what could be many, if the process proves stable. Their wings created a private cocoon of light around them both. But there are those among both our peoples who would see such evolution as a threat. As if summoned by Talon's words, alarms began blaring throughout the research station. Red emergency lights pulsed as Director Harrison's voice crackled over the comm. Dr. Blackwood, report to containment immediately. Your biochemical readings have triggered quarantine protocols. Raven felt her newly enhanced senses spike with fear, but Talon's presence remained steady. They cannot be allowed to interfere, Talon said, their wings beginning to glow with unprecedented intensity. The change has progressed too far. If they try to stop it now, the quantum entanglement could collapse, taking your consciousness with it. What are my options? Raven asked, already knowing the answer as she felt the resonance between them grow stronger. Come with me, now. To the High Winds Collective. Our medical technology can stabilize the transformation. Talon extended their hand, skin shimmering with circuits of living light. But you must choose quickly. Once the quantum bond fully manifests, it cannot be undone. You will never fully be human again. Heavy boots thundered down the corridor, the station security team approaching. Raven looked at her readings one last time, at the beautiful impossibility of what she was becoming. All her life she had studied the mysteries of alien life. Now she had the chance to become one of those mysteries. She took Talon's hand. Light exploded between them, and Raven gasped as she felt her consciousness expand. She could feel the air currents, taste electromagnetic fields, see spectrums of light that human eyes were never meant to process. Most incredibly, she felt something unfurling from her back, not physical wings, not yet, but the quantum potential of them, written into her transforming DNA. Hold tight, Talon whispered, their wings spreading wide. The first flight is always the most intense. As they burst through the crystal dome into the amber sky, security forces rushing in moments too late, Raven felt no fear. Only exhilaration as her cells sang with alien light, rewriting themselves into something gloriously, terrifyingly new. She was falling up into the endless sky, held safe in the embrace of impossibly beautiful wings, leaving humanity behind but carrying its essence into an evolutionary destiny nobody could have predicted. The vast floating cities of the Nepheri beckoned above, their crystal spires pulsing with the same frequencies that now lived in her blood. As they ascended, Raven realized she wasn't just making history, she was becoming it. The next chapter in human evolution was about to be written, and she would be both its author and its subject. The floating citadel of the High Winds Collective shimmered like a mirage against Kepler 186f's eternal sunset. Raven stood before a wall of living crystal, watching her reflection with a mixture of wonder and trepidation. After 3 days in the Nepheri medical chamber, her transformation had accelerated beyond anything she could have predicted. Her skin now held a subtle opalescence, shifting colors with her emotions. Along her spine and shoulders, patterns of bioluminescence traced delicate circuits that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. But most striking were her eyes, once dark brown, they now swirled with silver, rings of gold emerging around pupils that could perceive electromagnetic spectrums no human was meant to see. The quantum integration progresses faster than any model predicted, Talon said, approaching from behind. Their wings created gentle currents of air that Raven could now feel as complex patterns of information, like reading a book written in wind. The human authorities are demanding my return, Raven said, not turning around. Her enhanced senses could feel the electromagnetic pulses of their communications, angry transmissions bouncing between the research station and Earth. They're calling it kidnapping, biological warfare, there's talk of military intervention. Talon's wings rustled, concern, tinged with determination. They don't understand what's truly at stake. The Council has convened an emergency session. There are complications. Now Raven turned, her newly heightened perception reading volumes in Talon's subtle energy patterns. What kind of complications? Your cellular structure isn't just incorporating Nepheri DNA, Talon explained, reaching out to trace one of the glowing patterns on her shoulder. Where their skin met, sparks of actual light danced between them. It's achieving something we thought impossible, true quantum synthesis between our species. And they hesitated, their energy patterns fluctuating with complex emotions. And Raven prompted, though something in her transformed biology was already resonating with the answer. You're carrying a quantum seed, Talon said softly. The first of its kind, neither human nor Nepheri, but something entirely new. Raven's hand went to her abdomen, where she had indeed felt strange pulses of energy gathering. I'm pregnant? But how? Not pregnant in the way either of our species understands it, Talon corrected. The quantum entanglement between us has created a nexus point where new life can emerge, life that could bridge the gap between all sentient species. The Council believes this may be the culmination of our entire genetic seeding program. A proximity alarm pulsed through the Citadel. On the horizon, multiple ships dropped out of hyperspace, Earth vessels, their weapon signatures clear to Raven's enhanced perception. They're scared, Raven said, reading the electromagnetic chatter between the ships. And fear makes humans dangerous. They think I'm being controlled, transformed into some kind of biological weapon. The Council is preparing to evacuate you to our homeworld, Talon said, their wings spreading protectively. Once the quantum seed fully manifests. No, Raven interrupted, an idea forming as she processed information through both her scientific training and her new awareness. Running will only confirm their fears. I need to show them what this really means. She turned to Talon, her transformed eyes glowing with purpose. Take me to the Council. I have a proposal. The Council chamber was a vast sphere of living crystal, floating independently among the Citadel's spires. 12 Nepheri elders perched on crystalline outcroppings, their wings spanning the full spectrum of possible colors. Their combined energy signatures made Raven's new senses tingle. Honored ones, she began, her voice carrying harmonics she was still learning to control. Humanity stands at a crossroads. You seeded our world with potential, waiting for us to evolve into something greater. That time has come, but it can't be achieved through secrecy and separation. She gestured to her transformed body. What's happening to me isn't just about biology. It's about breaking down the barriers between species, between different forms of consciousness. The quantum seed I carry isn't just a child, it's proof that evolution doesn't have to be a solitary journey. The Council's energy patterns shifted, rippling with interest. The eldest among them, their wings shimmering with every color simultaneously, spoke. What do you propose, Bridge-bearer? Let me return to the human ships, Raven said, feeling Talon's instant spike of concern. Not as a prisoner, but as an ambassador. Let me show them what's possible when we stop fearing difference and embrace transformation. The quantum seed's energy signature will prove I'm not being controlled. It radiates both human and Nepheri frequencies in perfect harmony. The Council chambers erupted in a symphony of electromagnetic frequencies as the elders communicated in pure energy. Finally, the eldest spoke again, your proposal carries great risk. The quantum seed is vulnerable in these early stages. If human fear leads to violence, then we trust in the very thing that makes humans special, Raven countered. Our capacity to overcome fear with wonder, to choose growth over stagnation. She felt the quantum seed pulse within her, as if affirming her words. Let me show my people what they could become. The Council's deliberation was interrupted by another proximity alert. More ships had arrived, but these weren't military vessels. Raven's enhanced senses recognized the signatures of research ships from every major scientific institution on Earth. It seems, Talon observed, their energy patterns brightening with hope, that not all humans react to the unknown with fear. Raven smiled, feeling the quantum seed's energy harmonize with her own growing certainty. She had begun this journey as a scientist seeking knowledge. Now she had become the knowledge itself, living proof that evolution had no limits except those imposed by fear. As she prepared to face her own species again, she felt the future taking shape within her, coded in quantum frequencies that sang of unlimited potential. The next chapter in the story of life itself was about to be written, and it would be composed in harmonies no single species could create alone. The space between the Nepheri citadel and the assembled Earth ships crackled with tension. Raven stood on a floating platform of living crystal, Talon at her side, as she prepared to address the combined fleet. Her transformed body radiated gentle waves of light that rippled through her opalescent skin, while the quantum seed within her pulsed with increasing strength. "This is Dr. Raven Blackwood," she transmitted, her voice carrying both audible sound and electromagnetic harmonics. "I'm initiating direct communication with all vessels." "Dr. Blackwood," a familiar voice responded, "Director Harrison from the research station. Our sensors indicate your biological structure has been severely compromised. We have medical containment ready." "I haven't been compromised, Director," Raven interrupted, letting her new senses project her biometric data to the scientific vessels. "I've been evolved. The Nephiri didn't change me against my will, they awakened something that was already present in human DNA. Something they seeded there millennia ago." The quantum seed flared within her, and Raven gasped as new awareness flooded her consciousness. Images cascaded through her mind, ancient Nephiri ships seeding countless worlds with genetic potential, watching, waiting for species to reach the critical point of conscious evolution. She realized the memories weren't just Nephiri, they were encoded in the quantum frequencies of life itself. "The research vessels are receiving your biological data," Talon murmured, their wings creating protective currents around her. "Their energy patterns indicate fascination." Indeed, Raven could sense the scientific ships buzzing with activity as they analyzed her transformation. But the military vessels remained combat-ready, their weapon systems charged. "This is Admiral James of the Earth Defense Fleet," a new voice cut in. "Dr. Blackwood, regardless of how this transformation occurred, you're carrying unknown biological material that could pose a threat to Earth. We have orders to contain the situation." Raven felt the quantum seed pulse in response to the threat, its energy harmonizing with her own transformed biology. Understanding bloomed in her mind. "Admiral, I invite you to send a medical team to examine me. What I carry isn't a weapon, it's the next step in human evolution. The Nephiri didn't just seed our world with genetic potential. They seeded every world they found suitable for life." She projected new data, letting her enhanced senses transmit the ancient memories now unlocked within her. "We're all connected, all part of the same grand experiment in conscious evolution. The quantum seed I carry proves it, human and Nephiri DNA merging to create something entirely new. The energy patterns are stabilizing," Talon observed, monitoring the fleet's electromagnetic emissions. "The scientific vessels are, yes. They're requesting permission to send research teams." But before Admiral James could respond, Raven felt something dramatic shift within her. The quantum seed's energy signature suddenly amplified, sending waves of light cascading across her skin. She doubled over, supported by Talon's wings, as new consciousness bloomed within her. "What's happening?" Admiral James demanded, as Raven's energy emissions lit up every sensor in the fleet. "The quantum seed," Talon explained, their voice filled with awe. "It's achieving consciousness far faster than predicted. It's connecting." Raven felt it too, the seed wasn't just growing, it was reaching out, its quantum consciousness touching every mind within range. Through its awareness, she could sense the fear in the military vessels transforming into wonder, the excitement of the scientists reaching fever pitch, and something else, similar quantum frequencies beginning to resonate in others. "There," she gasped, pointing to the research station. 3 humans there, their DNA is responding. The potential is awakening in them too. And more." Her enhanced senses swept the fleet. 7 among the science vessels. 2 in the military ships. The quantum frequency is activating dormant genes, just as it did in me. "Impossible," Admiral James breathed, but his sensors confirmed it. Throughout the fleet, individuals were beginning to exhibit the first signs of transformation, subtle bioluminescence, enhanced perception, quantum resonance. "Not impossible," Raven corrected, standing straighter as the quantum seed's consciousness merged more fully with her own. "Inevitable. This is what the Nephiri have been waiting for," not just one human achieving transformation, but the cascade effect that proves humanity is ready for the next step. She turned to address all ships simultaneously. What's happening to me isn't an anomaly or a threat. It's an invitation. The Nephiri weren't just studying us, they were waiting to welcome us into a galactic community of consciously evolving species. The quantum seed I carry isn't just a child, it's a key, unlocking potential that lies dormant in all of us. As if in response, the quantum seed pulsed again, stronger this time. Waves of energy rippled out across space, touching every ship, every mind. And everywhere they reached, new awareness bloomed. Raven could feel it all through her enhanced senses, fear transforming into understanding, suspicion into wonder, as the truth of their shared destiny became impossible to deny. The military vessels powered down their weapons. The science ships moved closer, their crews practically radiating excitement. And in the space between stars, something new was being born, not just within Raven, but within the consciousness of both species, a bridge across the vast gulf of evolution itself. The great crystal chamber of the High Winds Collective pulsed with unprecedented energy as Raven lay in its center, surrounded by swirling lights that matched the patterns flowing across her transformed skin. The quantum seed within her had grown exponentially over the past 24 hours, its consciousness touching minds across both fleets, awakening dormant potential wherever it found resonance. Talon hadn't left her side, their wings creating protective currents of energy that harmonized with her rapidly evolving biology. Around them, both human and Nephiri medical teams worked in unprecedented cooperation, monitoring the first quantum birth in known history. The energy signatures are approaching critical convergence, announced Dr. Patel, one of the human scientists who had shown early signs of transformation herself. Her skin now held a subtle glow, and her eyes had begun to shimmer with traces of silver. Whatever's about to happen, it's happening soon. Raven could feel it, the quantum seed was no longer just a potential future but an imminent reality. Through its expanding consciousness, she sensed the others scattered throughout the human fleet who were beginning their own transformations. Each one resonated at a slightly different frequency, suggesting that evolution wasn't creating duplicates but unique expressions of human Nephiri potential. The council records speak of this, Talon said, their voice carrying harmonics of ancient knowledge. The convergence, when seeded species achieve the ability to transcend their original genetic limitations. But never in our history has it manifested so rapidly, so completely. A wave of energy surged through Raven's body, causing the chamber's crystals to sing in sympathetic harmony. The quantum seed's consciousness touched her mind with images of possibility, futures where humanity and Nephiri weren't just allies but components of something greater, a symphony of conscious evolution playing out across the galaxy. More transformations reported from Earth, Admiral James announced through the comm system. He had become one of their strongest allies after witnessing the peaceful nature of the changes. Research centers worldwide are documenting cases of spontaneous quantum resonance. It's like humanity is remembering something it always knew but had forgotten. Raven arched as another wave of energy pulsed through her. The quantum seed was ready. She could feel it preparing for emergence, not into physical space but into something far more profound. Everyone, she gasped, clear your minds. What's coming? It needs clean quantum frequencies to manifest properly. The chamber fell silent. Humans and Nephiri alike stilled their thoughts, creating a space of pure potential. In that silence, Raven felt the quantum seed achieve final convergence. Light erupted from her body, but it wasn't physical illumination, it was consciousness made visible, the birth of awareness that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Where everyone expected a child, something far more magnificent emerged. The quantum seed expressed itself as a field of pure possibility, a bridge between realities that existed in the space between thoughts. Through it, every mind in range suddenly understood, this wasn't just about two species finding each other. It was about life itself achieving a new level of awareness. I understand now, Raven said, her voice carrying frequencies that resonated with both human and Nephiri consciousness. The seed isn't just a new form of life, it's a new way of being alive. A quantum template that allows consciousness to evolve beyond physical limitations. The field expanded, touching every mind within reach. Where it passed, new awareness bloomed. Humans found themselves understanding Nephiri thought patterns instinctively. Nephiri experienced human emotions with newfound clarity. The barriers between species dissolved not through destruction but through transcendence. The great seeding, Talon breathed, their wings shimmering with revelation. This is what our ancestors prepared for. Not just the evolution of individual species, but the evolution of life's capacity to understand itself. Through the quantum field, Raven could sense similar awakenings beginning on Earth and other seeded worlds across the galaxy. The consciousness born from her union with Talon wasn't confined to a single form or species, it was a key that unlocked dormant potential wherever life had evolved the capacity to recognize itself. "We are watching the dawn of a new era," announced the eldest of the Nephiri Council, their wings radiating colors that human eyes could now perceive as pure meaning. Not the dominance of one species over others, but the harmony of all conscious life learning to sing together. Raven stood, supported by Talon's wings, her transformed body glowing with the light of new possibility. The quantum field pulsed around them, a living testament to what was possible when fear gave way to understanding, when difference became strength rather than division. In the space between heartbeats, between thoughts, between stars themselves, something new had been born. Not a child, but a future, one where evolution wasn't a solitary journey but a cosmic dance of consciousness, expanding forever into the infinite light of possibility. As human and Nephiri gathered together in the crystal chamber, their minds linked by the quantum awareness that was humanity's gift to itself, Raven felt the truth that had been waiting since the first seeds of potential were planted in Earth's primitive oceans: we were never meant to remain separate. Every branch of evolution was leading to this moment, this convergence, this transcendent union of all that life could become. The stars themselves seemed to pulse in harmony with this new awareness, singing an ancient song that was only now being remembered. In the end, love wasn't just an emotion or a choice. It was the force that drove evolution itself, calling life ever upward into greater unity, greater understanding, greater light. And in that light, all paths led home.